Jenny Bowling here with Pivot to Prosperity, brought to you by Pivotal Real Estate Investments, where we help our investors build wealth and income through commercial real estate that improves communities. And today we have Chris Lento as a guest. Thank you for coming, Chris. Appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
And so I would say a brief intro here, and then I'm going to let Chris take it over. He's the founder and CEO of EM Capital and focuses on providing turnkey real estate investment opportunities in emerging U.S. markets. He has a portfolio exceeding $100 million, and his team excels in commercial real estate acquisitions, asset management, and raising capital. Go ahead and tell us more, Chris.
Sure. So I'm an engineer by trade. So I was a electromechanical engineer for 17 years in the aerospace industry. But the entire time in parallel, I was doing a small apartment building, acquisitions and management in the Boston area. And then kind of all along that journey, I was constantly thinking about how I could transition to real estate full time, and kind of the planets aligned about 7 years ago, or more like 9 years ago. I kind of saw the path, lined everything up, and started this company in 2018. So been doing this full time for 7 years, and it's been great. It's been an amazing learning experience, and I couldn't be happier about the transition.
So do you remember the day you left your W-2?
Oh yeah, definitely.
What's the day?
Oh, it was August 20th in 2018.
All right. Yeah, those are big days, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good for you. Well, congratulations. And it sounds like you've accomplished a whole lot. So where would you like to start? Do you want to talk about a first deal or more most recent things that you're doing? I'd like to.
I think I'd rather talk about, to start, most recent. So
okay.
We're actually under contract right now for our biggest deal to date. It'll be a $49 million property in Atlanta. And we're flying down this evening to start our kind of pre-purchase and sales agreement due diligence. So we're very excited about this. It's been, kind of a slow year with interest rates high and, the big buy-sell gap in the market. It's been a lot of offers, a lot of best and finals, and not much to show for it. So we're happy to get this under contract, and really excited about this opportunity. And, we really want to have something for our investors as well.
Right.
These long time periods with slow acquisitions, your investors kind of get antsy. What do I do with my money? What's the next deal coming? And they can start to trail off and find other things to invest in.
I hear you. Definitely. Well, so, and how many units is that?
This one is 268.
All right. And is that going to be a 506B or C?
We were going to run a 506B and then a 506C.
Gotcha. Okay. Right. Which means, for the audience that doesn't understand, that the Bs are our friends and family. So you have to already have a relationship. And otherwise you wouldn't know about these opportunities. So that's why it's so important to call us and talk with us and stay in touch. And then the 506Cs, you can see. That's how I tell people, to help them remember it. They can be advertised. You can see them advertised. So that's terrific. And so congratulations. It has been a tough year and a half almost. But right. So when you are approaching one of these deals, where are you sourcing most of your deals that you're vetting?
They're all coming through brokers, whether they're on market deals through brokers or sort of limited market deals, where they are not going far and wide, but they're certainly going to their network of people that they know are interested.
Good for you. Yeah. Yeah. And as far as this one, would you be the operator and including asset management, or what all would you be looking to do?
Yeah, we partner with third-party property management. So there's a big company in the Southeast, First Communities, that was recently acquired by Asset Living. They manage 3 of our other properties. So we like the team. We have another complex within 10 miles of this asset. So we're going to work with them on this asset. So I'll be the asset manager, overseeing the property management, executing the business plan, but they'll be doing the day-to-day leasing, screening, maintenance, things like that.
We should probably even talk names later. I think that some of the people that I know here in Orlando also control some of that area. So
Yeah, that's very
that's
possible.
not that far away, right? Yeah, it's amazing. But that's a good company. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very solid. They have a good kind of career path, which I think then has good, good employees or enables them to have good employees.
Right. And they've got systems.
They
Systems are
do.
critical, as you know. But yeah. And then as far as the turnover, when you go into something like this, or say to estimate your capital improvements, are you bringing in contractors and getting quotes actually, or are you doing it internally, or how do you usually approach these?
So we do both. Prior to due diligence, we do estimates based on property improvements that we've done in the past, discussions with our property management team, and then this week, Thursday, Friday, we're going in there with vendors. So there'll be a landscaper there, there'll be a roofer there, there'll be a GC there, and they'll be giving us quotes, quick quotes, but at least ballpark, so we can start figuring out how much capital we need to raise. So we should have all that information relatively solid by the end of next week, following kind of this week's pre-inspection, we'll call it. So there's no, it's not a environmental inspection, it's not a lender inspection, it's just us and the property management team doing a financial audit and then a physical inspection of every unit, roofs, drains, kind of the whole soup to nuts.
Yeah, and so I'm going to go a little deeper on that with you. How far deep do you go? Do you scope all the lines, or do
We're
you?
actually just talking about that right now with
Yeah.
our PM team. I asked them that, and I'm waiting for a response because I want to know whether they're going to scope the lines, and if so, how many. I don't expect that we'll scope every line in a 268 unit property, but getting the one near the oak tree maybe, or the 5 in the
Yeah, you're
suspicious
talking
areas.
Georgia, you're talking 10.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, lots of nice
And
trees.
then we're also want to have them thermal image kind of under sinks or in potential wet areas to see if there's any signs of leaks as well.
Good. Yeah, right. Then as far as inspecting the units, do you go in every single unit, or do you do a sampling?
Yes. No, absolutely. Every unit.
Every unit. Okay.
Yeah. They have
And
a pretty good piece of software that everyone has in their phones, and they sort of like snap the door, and that queues up what the unit number is, and then it queues them to hit the 20 pictures per unit that then will populate a report. So it's pretty efficient. But yeah, we got to hit every unit. So
right.
we're gonna have a big team and divide and conquer.
Wait a minute. Did you say you can get the unit number in your phone and the pictures to all sync in per unit?
Yep.
Oh, what's the name of that program?
I don't know actually. First
Oh, okay.
Communities
That's
you
cool.
had to. Yeah, it's very cool. So and then there'll be 5 phones out there all doing it, and then it will all kind of come together on the website to create a report.
That's really sweet. Yeah, yeah. And then so as far as when do you prefer to see the tenants, or do you prefer not to see the tenants when you're going in?
On this, I want to talk to people. I want to get kind of the inside info on what's going on there. Do they like the place? Do they not like the place? What are persistent maintenance issues or management issues?
Yeah.
This particular property has had the same on-site people for a significant amount of time, and they take a lot of pride in that. So I think it's likely that we will hire them on the transition.
I see. Okay. And do you get estoppels?
We typically don't get estoppels.
No? Okay.
Because quite often the sellers are just unwilling to get all these estoppels.
Yeah, it's a lot on them, for sure. And when we say estoppels, we're talking about an affirmation basically from the tenant that confirms what security deposit, what issues, what the lease says, and start end dates, that kind of stuff, the facts of the lease. And so
But we do a lease audit though. So we'll, pull the rent roll and then go through every lease and make sure it's consistent with, what's in the rent roll, and that it's signed and that the people are the same people. So, we're confirming the lease says what the information we've been given, but we don't have the residents sign anything.
Gotcha.
Attesting to that again.
Right. Well, if you get an actual copy of the lease, that does a lot for sure.
Yeah.
Do you do that personally, or do you hire a third party to do the review of the leases and all?
Our property management team does that as well. So
Oh,
when
yeah.
we get on site tomorrow at 9 a.m., there'll probably be a dozen people from their company. They'll pull kind of on sites from the region, and then half of them will sit down with the on-site property managers and, with a big stack of manila folders or their laptops, and they'll just say, they'll just get a system going and, unit 206. Okay. Yep. Confirm next. And then the other half will go and do all the physical due diligence. So it's kind of a 24-hour push.
It's intense, especially in the hot heat of the summertime, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, I'm happy for you. When is your closing likely to be?
I would say probably 60 days, probably 75 days from now.
Yeah.
Hopefully everything goes smooth.
Good for you. And do you, I guess certain counties, I don't know Atlanta real well. I know there's some counties you want to stay away from because they're not very landlord friendly, right?
Yeah, there's some that have slower eviction processes, or the courts are more backed up.
Right.
But typically, at least, coming from Boston, Atlanta is just landlord friendly, across the board. But we tend to not really avoid specific Atlanta counties for that reason. I mean, we're really going for like, what's a quality asset? What's an area that has good population and job growth. So we're aware that there's differences, but I think with, good management, that can be overcome.
Is this class A, B, C?
This is an 89 build. So we like to, and this is actually a very well maintained 89 build. So we'll say it's a class B. A lot of times we try to get like a C, a formerly class B that needs a heavy value add, and we'll bring it back up. This one is in very good condition. It just needs interior renovations.
It's good. You have a system for that?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of experience, cranking through units at different renovation grade levels. So we work with a number of different vendors, get quotes, identify the material needed up front, set a schedule for number of units per month targeted, and then as they become available, we crank through them.
So are you usually doing granite counters and upgrading hardware and whatnot too, or do you go as far as granite?
So just recently we've started doing granite. I think on this property we'll do granite. Up until last year it was primarily Formica countertop updates, but I feel like the price of granite and Formica has come close enough and the demand's there that it's worth the extra. It's really sometimes just a couple $100.
Depends
difference,
on the size kitchen
because
too,
labor, right? And exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll do lights, plumbing fixtures, flooring, paint, door hardware, maybe doors, depending on the condition, plug outlets, appliances, and then cabinet fronts, if not cabinets, depending on kind of the condition.
I haven't done just doors before. Do you find that really cost effective?
Not just doors, but fronts. So we'll do the whole
door fronts. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would say it's half of doing the cabinets. Full right. Cabinets.
That's why I've gone ahead and just done the whole thing all the time. But I guess you have to find the right vendor.
Yes. Right.
That's the big trick.
Yeah. Yep. And there's a lot of these turn vendors will, they have their system and they're sub vendors that just, come in, measure it, and it gets custom delivered. So, and the product looks nice, the doors and the new styles look really good. Depends on the quality of the original cabinets, really.
Now, do you do colored cabinets or do you stay with white?
We stick with white.
Yeah. White shaker?
Yeah. White shaker. That's what everyone likes right now.
We all do that, don't we? Sure is popular and it's classic. It really is. And then your flooring, do you do the grays or browns or what do you?
Yeah, we do gray LVP. Yep. Luxury vinyl plank. Yep.
You can't beat that vinyl plank either. Right.
Oh yeah, very durable.
So what's your craziest story, the funniest thing you've come across when you were operating or getting into a property?
Um, well, the one that comes to mind is I was doing due diligence on a property I bought in Tallahassee about 5 years ago. And, you know, I'm in there with the inspector, and the people there were like, yeah, we'd rather you didn't go in the bedroom. And we're like, all right. Is there a reason? And they were just like, no, we just would rather you didn't. But they weren't that clear about it. It was kind of strange. And then I said, well, this is the lender, and he really needs to get in the bedroom just to take one picture. Like, well, and they said, yeah, okay, all right. And so we opened the door, and there's a huge machine gun on the bed, like not an army machine gun either, like I don't know what, like Scarface. We're like, oh, this looks good. We got the picture. Like, I think we took a picture of like the ceiling or something. Just like, all right, and we're like, thanks, and we like got out of there.
Yeah, you don't want to take a picture of the gun, right?
No, and I also didn't want to hang out there too long to see what be involved with the gun. So, we made a note like, hey, that unit needs to go. So after we took over, we ended up not renewing the lease. And it was a problem unit, as you could expect, I suppose.
It was a problem, did you say?
It was a problem unit. Like, I mean, they were like late payers. There was some drug activity there.
I thought you might mean that they didn't want to leave.
I don't know if they wanted to leave or not, but we had a security officer kind of start circling the property a little more. So I think they're happy to move somewhere else.
Oh, yeah. Too many eyes.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Interesting. Okay. So have you ever put security gates of some sort into, or had much to deal with on security in any of your properties?
Yeah. Another property we bought in the Atlanta area had it had a fence all around it, although it had some gaps in it that it needed to be repaired, and then it had a gate that hadn't been operating in years, and it had a security problem. There was car break-ins and just a general not a super safe feel on the property. So we went in and we changed out all the camera, got a new camera system and fixed the gates, and actually had the gates closed all the time so that you had to, badge in even during the day. And it didn't take long for the situation to dramatically improve. And the dumping improved too, because we had a lot of people dumping trash in our compactor. So that was it took maybe 3 or 4 months to notice like residents responding and saying, yeah, like it feels safer, and you get more positive reviews on the safety of the property.
That's good.
And improved lighting too. We went through and we replaced all the external lighting with LEDs that were significantly brighter, and then worked with Georgia Power to replace some of the light poles in the property that they are responsible for with brighter lights, and that all made a very big difference.
That's great. I attend the League of Cities events here in Florida, where it's geared towards redevelopment. And so all kinds of vendors come in on the trade shows and all. And the last one I went to a few months back, it was very interesting. The sensors that they're putting on light poles, the cities are mainly, but anybody can. It will sense the sound of breaking glass. It will sense the smell of gas, all kinds of things. And it's not powered on all the time. These things are activated when it senses what it's supposed to sense and can call 911. It's amazing. Wow. It's just, and they're, not very big. They kind of aesthetically pleasing. There's lots of ways to hide this stuff. It's just amazing. But
I wasn't aware of that. I know that they have gunshot sensors in like around the city in Boston, but I didn't know that they did those other things.
Yep, breaking glass, gas, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it's interesting. But so when you are looking at a new property and you see that the reviews from the tenants are really good, they're happy with the current management, does that give you pause?
No, it just causes me to think that it's a different business strategy. So we like to have a value add in our deals. I mean, not every property needs a value add. But the ones we look at, we like to have a concrete way that we're going to drive revenue increases and not just rely on, rent appreciation to 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 push our returns. So if the property has great reviews, well, that's good that they have a good management. So it's not really a management improvement. But in this case, this property does have great reviews, and exterior wise, it's in very good condition. But the interiors are out of date. So our value add focuses on the interiors and some minor amenities improvements.
Yeah.
And I will say sometimes management value adds are some of the most difficult because that triggers a lot of other issues on the property. Likely, if you have management issues, you have a lack of consistent maintenance. So now you have deferred maintenance, which is going to kind of start showing up in increased operating costs. And then oftentimes you have lax screening requirements. So you have residents that are more behind than maybe from doing your underwriting or even your due diligence, not qualified for the rent, unlikely to ever catch up. So management terms can be some of the toughest.
Right. Well, and so as you get into the property and start your improvement process, what number of units are you used to turning over a month for renovations?
Somewhere between 3 and 5.
Yeah.
Is sort of what we've been doing. This is a bigger property than we've ever purchased. So we're going to have to work with the team to figure out, what our game plan is. We're planning to do 100 units on this property.
Right.
So, and we probably we'll try to get that done in a year and a half. So we'll have to, and then it usually takes about 2 months to start that in earnest, because you gotta get it closed, and then you got to get all your vendors in there and get your property management, transitioned, and then you can really start doing the interiors. So there's usually a couple month back off from closing date. So
do you have a wife and kids in Boston?
I have a partner and our daughter. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
In Boston.
Right. Whatever. Yeah. Right. So are they into doing this or traveling at all, or do you need to go and just do what you need to remotely and then do the rest as much as possible from home?
Yeah. So my daughter's 7, so she's not really into real estate yet, although we'll get there. She is prominently featured in all my newsletters, which people seem to like. And then my partner, Rebecca, no, she has no interest in real estate. So she's
Gotcha.
She's in nutrition programming for international aid. So she's traveling quite a bit as well. So it balances out.
Yeah. And so tell us how you came up with the name of your company.
Well, it certainly stands for emerging markets. So I like the idea that, to try to keep abreast of the macroeconomic situation in different areas, in different asset classes, and to try to get a little bit ahead of where things are going. So I try to focus geographically on markets that I think, have strong fundamentals, but also are in a position to become better markets. And then looking down the road, I want to do the same with asset classes. So I feel like we really honed in on multifamily, and we have it down. And now we're starting to look at kind of gearing ourselves up to expand into industrial as well,
Gotcha.
So that we have multiple offerings for our investors.
Would that be flex space, or are you talking single tenant or self-storage?
We're still sort of kind of figuring out what our buy box is.
Right
now, I kind of think flex space, because it has a lot of analogies to multifamily. But I do think there's a good value in the single tenant. It maybe doesn't have the returns, but it's, you can be a lot more stable for longer periods of time. And the asset management is a lot lower as long as you have a good tenant in there.
Yeah. Just have to have a top-notch one if that's where all your eggs are.
Right.
For that allocation. Yeah.
For that asset, yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've come across nice buildings, industrial buildings I'd love to own. And when I reach the owners, they say, nope, that's my nest egg. I'm not letting that go.
Yep.
I've got to die first.
That's true.
Yep. That's and sometimes it's 1 or 2 properties, and that's their whole retirement for the family. Yeah. But well, great. Well, so I want to be able to give you time to tell us the answer to this next big question. It's the one question I ask everybody, and that's, is there a pivotal person or event that has happened to make you who you are today, or that's pushing you towards something right now?
That's a good one. I think just generically having quality partners has really propelled myself and my company to the next level. And, recognizing that everyone has different strengths, and that, I used to think that I wanted a partner in my company. Like, I was kind of waiting to find like a person that I could, that we complement each other and then start a company together. And that just never came to be. So I started the company on my own, but I've since partnered with a number of other companies on specific deals, and it just has worked out great. You can have your own sort of silo and run your business the way you want, and then when you come together to do deals, you fill in each other's gaps, and it's been very motivating. So I will say the various partners that I've worked with in recent years have been very motivational, inspirational, and really helped. I think we've helped each other move forward.
That's terrific. Yeah, that's key. It's it also allows you for the growth that you want, and diversity, and if things start going a little more one way than you want, it makes it much easier to correct yourself, and
Yeah.
but as you know, when we're in these investments, they're 3 to 7 years usually, and so you got to know that going in. And so I know you're very respectful of that, but for the audience, yeah, that's really important. Same with them coming in with us. It's the same idea.
Yep.
They just
Absolutely.
don't have to deal with us as much as we have to deal with our partners, right?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Well, all right. Well, so why don't you tell people how they can reach you?
Sure. You can reach me on LinkedIn, Christopher Lento at EM Capital on LinkedIn, or at my website, emcapitalgroup.com. My contact information is all there, and feel free to reach out if you want to talk about investment opportunities or just general real estate discussions.
Great. Well, very good. Nice to have you on, and you'll be able to take a look at the show notes, make sure those are right to help people know how to reach you and whatnot. And so very good. Thank you for coming on.
Great. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.